Good evening, everybody, and welcome to Carving It Up Live right here on Facebook Live, YouTube, and on Twitter. I'm Bryson Carver. Yes, the background does look a little different today. Trying to bring a little bit of a new look to Carving It Up. Obviously, if you could see over my shoulder here, you got two-time MVP Steph Curry hitting probably his most iconic shot of all time. Got some other stuff back here, some hats, football, a great book by my man Andre Iguodala. So a little bit of a new look for Carving It Up. We're going to try and change things up a bit as the next few weeks go on, especially before the football season starts. That's when it's really going to get all crazy. Speaking of football, by the way, going to lead the show off with Cam Newton. And, folks, he might have just cost himself the starting quarterback job with the New England Patriots after the latest news came out about his status as far as COVID. Going to get into that in just a second. Also, Dak Prescott, some really, really good news. It seems like the only Dak Prescott news I'm hearing recently is bad. Okay? We're good. I've got a report from a very, very good source from the NFL Network that suggests that Dak Prescott is going to be ready to go for opening night of the 2021 NFL season in Tampa Bay. Also, Zach Wilson, man. So far, I'm not looking so right on the whole Zach Wilson thing after the way he's played in the preseason. I'll get into that. Also, Jimmy Garoppolo. Yeah. Get into that, as well as Trey Lance later in the show. And to finish the show, I'm going to talk a little bit about the newest report about Ben Simmons. I will save that for the end. But first, Cam Newton. Now, the last preseason game, I talked about it on my last show on Friday. New England played they played Philadelphia. And there was kind of this debate after the game is who's going to get the starting job. Belichick still hasn't announced the starter yet. Like, he still hasn't come out. Like, Matt Nagy saying, Andy Dalton's our guy, week 1 against the Rams. Belichick has not said who our guy is against the Miami Dolphins in week 1. Well, both played great. Cam played great. Mac played great. And so it looks like a toss-up right now. And I said on my show on Friday, I think it has to be Cam Newton. He knows the system better. He looks great pre-COVID last year. I think you got to go with Cam Newton. And, listen, he's been in the NFL. This is his 11th season. He's more seasoned. He knows what he's doing. Well, today, not good news for Cam Newton. No injury news, but he's now on. He's not allowed to go to the team facility right now. As I've got the New England Patriots statement right now. They said, quote, he received daily COVID tests, which were all negative, due to a misunderstanding about tests conducted away from NFL facilities and is required by the NFL and NFL Players Association protocols. Cam will be subject to the 5-day entry cadence process before returning to the facility. In other words, Cam was reckless off the field. He isn't vaccinated, and he's gone for the next 5 days for the New England Patriots. I believe he could return as soon as either Friday. I don't know if it kicked in today or if it kicks in tomorrow, the first full day. I'm not quite sure because this news did break early this morning. But Cam's out a while, at least majority of this week. And so I think that means two things. There's two ways you could look at this. Number one, for Mac Jones' side, this is Mac Jones' chance to be the week 1 starter. Like this, he couldn't have asked. Obviously, he's not wishing his teammate gets COVID or has to go into COVID protocols, but he's like, hey, all eyes are on me now. He's going to get all the first-team reps. Brian Hoyer's not getting any first-team reps unless, God forbid, Mac Jones suffers some kind of injury. Mac Jones is going to get all the reps with New England. He's going to get, I guess, extra time with Josh McDaniels, the offensive coordinator, to learn more schemes from him and different things like that. And so this is great for Mac Jones. And then on Cam's end, you're like, what are you doing? And this is my criticism of Cam Newton, is that you're the leader of a football team. You're the leader of an NFL franchise. What have I always talked about with quarterbacks on this show? And I'm going to get into Zach Wilson later on the show because it kind of has to do with this. That with quarterbacks coming into the league, I say defensive tackles can have issues as far as maturity or maybe a couple off the field. Now, you don't want like a bad track record, but if they have a couple off the field incidents, you can deal with it as long as it doesn't get out of control. Same can be said about running backs and offensive linemen and defensive backs. That cannot be the case for quarterbacks. And you've got to be the leader of a franchise because you are an extension of the general manager and the coach. I mean, look at Tampa Bay. Tom Brady yells at his teammates more than Bruce Arians yells at them. That's just the way it works. And so when you have Cam Newton out right now with COVID, or at least COVID symptoms, he's out, COVID protocols, he was messing around, doing something he shouldn't have been doing off the field. And again, we know the rules that the NFL put out last month in regards to vaccinations, in regards to their COVID protocols this year. In a nutshell, the NFL said, you get vaccinated, your life is pretty much completely normal. Like, it's your career, your day-to-day life in the National Football League is going to look just like 2019. If you don't, it's going to look a lot like 2020 for you. You got to get daily testing, mask wearing, I mean, the whole bit. Basically, all the rules that players had to deal with last year, if you're not vaccinated, you got to deal with this year. Now, to be fair to Cam, Mac Jones also has not, at least he hasn't specified, and we usually know what that means, if he's been vaccinated or not. But with Cam Newton, I talked about it on Friday. There is way more of a sense of urgency for Cam Newton this year than there is for Mac Jones. This is Mac Jones' first year. Now, frequent listeners of the show know that I'm not that high on him. Never have been. You can go back to my national championship reaction back in January. I've never been high on Mac Jones. But there's no pressure on him this year. He's in year 1. Whereas for Cam Newton, this is year 11, and this is it. Folks, this isn't it for his NFL career. But if Cam Newton does not show up this year, his days of being a starting quarterback in this league are over. They're done. And for him to put himself in this position to where Mac Jones is going to get all the first-team reps all week. Cam's not going to play in the final preseason game. Now, that very well might have been in the plans to begin with. That's, obviously we can leave that out there for discussion. But you cannot put yourself in this position to be out. Not necessarily only for your team, but also for yourself. Like, this is it. And so to me, it is a knock on Cam. And I like Cam. I'm rooting so hard for Cam Newton because I miss the 2015 MVP Cam Newton, and that's not coming back. But whether he can be a starting quarterback in this league for the remaining duration of his career remains to be seen, and it was going to be determined this year. And he may have just cost himself. I really, really hope he didn't, but he may have just cost himself. So, and again, to all the people out there that are saying, "Oh my God, you're doing these terrible things to Cam Newton, suspending him." The NFL, the rules are ridiculous. Like, because there's the one rule, right? That if there is a COVID outbreak within an organization that is under the 85% threshold, which, by the way, last I saw, 28 teams have reached that, so that's good. The possibility of forfeiture is low, but if you haven't reached the 85%, if your team has an outbreak and you don't have it resolved by the time you play your next game, you get chalked up with an L. That's the NFL is basically saying no excuses. And for Cam Newton, no excuses. Got to be better. You got to be better. Not just for your team, but for yourself. This is a do or die year, and you cannot put yourself in this position. So keep your eye on this New England Patriots quarterback situation over the next 5 days when Cam is out, because Mac's going to get all the first-team reps. It'll be interesting to hear what Belichick says about him, what the media in New England says about him, and what Josh McDaniels, teammates. Keep your eye on the New England Patriots right now as far as their quarterback situation now that Cam is out for the majority of this week. I hate that this happened, but let's be honest, it's on Cam. No ifs, ands, or buts. So now to Dak Prescott, my man, Rain Dakota Prescott. He's been in the news quite a bit over the last month or so. Obviously, thank God it's not for that contract talk that we had for the last 2.5 years. I mean, it drove me crazy. Is Dak going to get extended? Is he not? Well, thankfully, in March, Jerry Jones finally said, okay, fine, we're going to give him $40 million a year, and it's a $40 million per year that I, for one, think he absolutely 1,000% has earned. But July 28th, we all know, shoulder injury. It's a weird shoulder injury. It's a baseball injury. Like if you guys are watching the live, it's more in this area, almost under the armpit, than it is the actual shoulder itself. That's why the Dallas Cowboys have brought in professionals, doctors from the Texas Rangers, from the New York Yankees, because it is a baseball injury. That's the number one thing we've heard as far as, I don't know about the extent, but about the specifics of the injury. And Dak was only supposed to be out 2 or 3 days. Well, 2 or 3 days, looking at the calendar now, it is August 23rd. It turned into 26 days at this point. And there's been all this panic. Oh, no, is Dak going to play opening night? Is he going to be healthy this season? The report from Adam Schefter came in Friday night during the Cardinals-Chiefs preseason game on ESPN. Adam Schefter said Dak is probably, this can be a nagging injury. He's probably not going to be 100% all season long. Well, we got a new report from a couple days ago, a day later after Adam Schefter's report, and this is not to discredit Adam Schefter. He's one of the best in the business, no question about it. But Tom Pelissero, who has been covering the Cowboys at points during training camp in Oxnard, reported on Saturday that Dak Prescott has quote, absolutely no setbacks in his rehab and remains on track to start the September 9th opener against the Bucs per source. Prescott could have played tonight in Houston, could have played the Texans in that preseason game the other night, but no point risking anything in preseason. He will throw pregame again, and he, of course, did throw pregame. Just putting a little bit of mustard on that ball, putting a little bit more, arm strength into it than he was 8 days prior in Arizona for that preseason game. And Tom Pelissero also says Dallas has been extremely cautious to avoid setbacks, and doctors feel good about Dak's progress. Plan is to ramp up his practice workload again this week, then cut him loose the week of the opener. Dak told Tom recently, there's, quote, no doubt he'll be 100% in week 1 and all season. I told y'all, nothing to worry about. He's going to be fine. What the Dallas Cowboys are doing, and Jerry Jones was adamant about this during the pregame show. It's on YouTube. The Cowboys pregame show before their preseason game against the Houston Texans on Saturday night. Jerry Jones was adamant about this. Mike McCarthy's been adamant about this. The whole Cowboys organization has been. Heck, the reporters that have covered the Cowboys during training camp, they've been adamant about this. That they are being as cautious as possible. They are taking no risk whatsoever, because what's the point in throwing Dak in a preseason game when you don't have to? And I get the argument about reps. I get that. I understand that argument. But what's the point? Look at all these coaches around the NFL. You think Matt Stafford might need some reps? I mean, heck, he is in a new offense in Los Angeles. Has not and will not play one snap for the Los Angeles Rams in the preseason. Sticking in Los Angeles, Justin Herbert, this is only year 2 for him. hasn't played one snap in the preseason. Josh Allen, this is year 4. He's been in the league 2 less years than Dak. He's also not playing in the preseason. So and Tom Brady's played like 2 series, you know? So this notion, like, oh my God, we're so worried, can Dak get in the preseason? There's no point, especially when you just gave the guy, at the time, the second richest contract in the history of the National Football League, surpassed only by Mahomes and a couple weeks ago, Josh Allen. There's no point in throwing him out there when he's still not quite right, and he re-aggravates it, and he's out for a few weeks in the regular season. What they're doing is slowly... Listen, the Cowboys, they have their faults. I've been as critical as anybody of Jerry Jones, sometimes Stephen Jones, definitely of Mike McCarthy. But there is one thing you cannot say about the Dallas Cowboys organization, is that they don't have one heck of a medical staff. Their medical staff is as good as it comes, because they were one of the biggest reasons that Dak Prescott was able to nurse that ankle injury back to 100% health. And so what they are telling the coaches and the owner, there's no point in risking it. Because he's not 100% yet. But as this report says right here, they've been extremely cautious to avoid setbacks, and doctors feel good about Dak's progress. Plan is to ramp up his practice workload again this week. So chances are he'll get in the 7-on-7s possibly. And then, as this goes on, then, quote, cut him loose the week of the opener. So he'll be ready. He'll be ready for week 1, 17 days from now, in Tampa Bay against the champs. He'll be ready to go. So no need to panic. Listen, not to discredit anything Adam Schefter said, because Adam Schefter, I mean, how many times have I used Adam Schefter as a source in this show? And I'll continue to do so, obviously. But this comes directly from the medical staff and from the man himself, Mr. Dak Prescott. So, again, we obviously got to see it. Again, 17 days from now, on that Thursday night in Tampa, we got to see it. But by all indication, he'll be fine, and this will not be a nagging injury. As Dak said himself, he expects to be 100% opening night and the remainder of the season. So I'm not worried about Dak Prescott, and there's no need for you to be either. Let's go now to Zach Wilson. My goodness. Zach Wilson, ladies and gentlemen, has a very strong argument that he could make that he's been the best rookie quarterback this preseason. Justin Fields has looked good. I'm about to get into Trey Lance and Jimmy Garoppolo after this, right? Trey Lance has looked solid. You look at Mac Jones, decent. We're going to see Trevor Lawrence in his second preseason game tonight in New Orleans against some of the Saints starters, we'd assume. But Zach Wilson, man, has looked excellent. You're talking about a guy who was drafted second overall to the Jets. You're talking about a guy who I, going in, said he probably, next to Mac Jones, has the highest bust possibility. I said the only out of the 5 quarterbacks drafted in the first 15 picks. The one I have no doubt, and I don't wish this, obviously, but no doubt will probably be a bust is, sorry guys, I got something in my eye. Man, what is going on? Is Mac Jones. Right after that, Zach Wilson. Because I worry about the competition at BYU. I worry about the fact that he didn't have a great record in college. I worry about the fact that he's a little undersized. I worry about the fact that he strikes me as more cocky than confident. We all know there's a difference. And silly me, if I want to throw my input in, I've actually seen Zach Wilson play in person a couple of years ago in 2019. Didn't pop. I mean, I've seen college football players live from, Alabama and Georgia. You're like, okay, yeah, that dude's different. He doesn't look like every other college football player in the field. Zach Wilson didn't really give me that. But thus far, he's looked great. Matter of fact, the New York Jets played the Green Bay Packers on Saturday, and all Zach Wilson did was go 9 for 11, 128 yards, 2 touchdowns, no interceptions, and a quarterback rating of 154.7. For those of you that do not know, the highest you can get is 158.3. So he didn't miss it by much. And if you could have seen some of those throws, if you watch the game, if you haven't, you can go and watch preseason highlights. This dude has a rocket. I'm not going to say it's Josh Allen. I'm not going to say it's Patrick Mahomes, because it's not. But the zip, when the ball comes out of this guy's hands, you can start to see now why some scouts call him, because it came from BYU, the Mormon Mahomes, because you see those similarities, the little, back foot throws he had to Corey Davis. He had one where he rolled out, came back to the right, and just launched. I mean, just a beautiful throw. As I actually have a Jets fan in the room right now, John Rivera, shout out to him from Fan Podcast. He's got, if you can see that there, I believe those are the star eyes emoji. If those aren't stars, those are hearts. But nevertheless, he likes Zach Wilson a lot. And listen, I hope it works. Like, football's better when the teams in the big markets are more relevant. That's not a shot at like Green Bay or anybody or teams in small markets. But when you had the two New York teams, which I kind of like the Giants this year, and when the Jets are good, and when the two LA teams are good, Miami Dolphins, Pittsburgh Steelers, it is good for football. It's good for any sport. The only concern that I have, though, with Zach Wilson, number one, he's not going to have a great defense. We all know last week, Carl Lawson went down with a season-ending Achilles injury. That's a killer. Just added him. That's bad. Number two, and I like Robert Saleh. I really do like this hire. I thought Robert Saleh, I said on this show, should have gotten a job last year. He did this year. Good for him. But Zach Wilson, I don't think we can really debate this. Fair or unfair, has the worst coach in his division. Bill Belichick, the resume speaks for itself. Sean McDermott, what he's done in Buffalo. 3 playoff appearances in 4 years. Got to the AFC Championship last year and are very much of a Super Bowl picture. Brian Flores. Look at the Miami Dolphins today. You kidding me? Brian Flores has done an excellent job in Miami. Goes from 5 wins in 2019, doubles that to 10 wins last year. And right now, my gut tells me they're a playoff team. He's drafted exceptionally well. They've done great in free agency trades. Miami has completely flipped the fortunes of their organization around, and it is because of one man, and that's Brian Flores. They've got a great roster right now. My only question with the Dolphins is Tua. And he looked good, by the way. He looked really good in their preseason game the other day. Yes, Robert Saleh hasn't proven anything with the Jets because he has not coached a game yet. That's fair. I get that. But, when you look at the others, again, Belichick's resume speaks for itself. He's one of the 3 greatest coaches in NFL history. Don't think he's a GOAT, but he's one of the 3 best. Sean McDermott. Bills hadn't done anything for 20 years. 3 playoff appearances in the last 4 years. Got to the AFC Championship game last year. And have a very bright future ahead. Brian Flores doubled his wins last year from his first year as a rookie head coach. And so with Zach Wilson, also something else to keep in mind. He's going to be playing some bad defenses. And by bad, I mean like bad you know what. I mean, New England's defense, always good. It's Belichick for crying out loud. Brian Flores, Miami's defense was amazing last year. They'll be great again this year. Buffalo's defense continues to get better. It's not as good as those top two teams' defenses. But Zach Wilson is going to be in some games where the Jets are going to ask him to carry them. And I don't know if that's realistic his rookie year. But the good news for Jets fans, for Jets faithful, this kid looks like he's got it. I don't want to jump the gun. It's 2 preseason games, but thus far, against the Giants and against the Packers, he looks good. Not even going to lie, man. He looks really good. I still think the Jets are the worst team in their division, without a question. Okay, Buffalo, it's their division to lose. And then New England and Miami are going to be fighting for a playoff spot. Jets aren't there yet, but I liked what they did in the draft, getting another offensive lineman to help protect their franchise quarterback, as they did the year prior, although the Sam Darnold thing didn't work because Adam Gase was there. Adam Gase is where, a quarterback's career goes to die with Adam Gase. I mean, it's bad. So he's gone. Sam Darnold's also gone. But you got the offensive lineman to protect Zach Wilson. You added Corey Davis in free agency. Defensively, although Carl Lawson went down, they've got some decent players, but they're still work in progress. So, I don't know. I'm interested. I'm going to be watching, especially the week 1 game, where it's Panthers-Jets. Because the Panthers are a team that, while I don't think is a playoff team yet because of how loaded the NFC is, I think they're going in the right direction. And the Jets, that's a decent measuring stick game. Go and get your old quarterback on the road. Should be interesting to watch. No question about it. Let's go to another young quarterback who is... Right now, Zach Wilson's obviously the starter in New York. There's no question about that. There is a question, though, in San Francisco with the Niners, with Jimmy G, and with Trey Lance. Now, Trey Lance is a guy, those that have listened to the show for the last few months, and especially before the draft, I said I think Trey Lance, at the worst-case scenario, is the third best quarterback in the draft. Trevor Lawrence is in a league of his own. Okay, he's one of the greatest quarterback prospects coming out that we've ever seen. In Justin Fields, you can have a debate between Fields and Trey Lance. But I made the case on this show that I think Trey Lance is going to end up having the best career of any of the quarterbacks. Because Chicago, like their coach, Matt Nagy, I really do. But let's be honest, it's not exactly been known for being a winning organization the last decade or so. Trevor Lawrence has got a lot... He's got a lot to try and help rebuild or build. It's not like there's anything to rebuild. They've kind of been a mess for a while now, talking about the Jacksonville Jaguars. Still think he'll have a great career, but he's kind of like Andrew Luck in Indianapolis. Like there's a ways for the Jacksonville Jaguars to go to be anywhere near contention. And Zach Wilson, while the last 2 games in the preseason really like what I've seen, the Jets are not even a playoff contending team. They're not. And then Mac Jones, I don't buy him as a franchise quarterback whatsoever. But that's another story for another day. Trey Lance, however, goes to a team that is 2 years removed from going to the Super Bowl and coming a missed throw on a post route to Emmanuel Sanders of winning the whole darn thing. He gets Kyle Shanahan, who loves quarterbacks that can move. He gets John Lynch, who's emerged as one of the best general managers in all of football. He gets a great offensive line. Trent Williams, long-term deal. One of the best left tackles in football. He's got weapons. Brandon Ayuk, Travis Kelce. Defensively, stacked. Great defensive line. It's a tough division, but Trey Lance, to me, is set up for success. But, however, all that being said, I've been pretty consistent about this even as recently as last week. Jimmy Garoppolo should be the starter of the team. Well, yeah. Yeah, I don't know how I don't know how I feel about that right now. Because the argument I made is Jimmy G has done nothing but win in his career as a starter. Has he put up big numbers? Nope. Does he have a ton of game-winning drives? Nope. Has he been in two of the best organizations in the NFL? Yep. But I was like, the only time he stayed fully healthy for a whole season as a starter in this league, they got to the Super Bowl. And by the way, not only got to the Super Bowl, they were the number one seed in the NFC, the tougher conference, destroyed Minnesota in the divisional round game, and humiliated Green Bay in the NFC Championship game. And came up just short after having a 10-point lead on Patrick Mahomes in the Super Bowl. So I'm like, see how long he can go. Again, I don't know how I feel about that now. I see a comment here from John. He says he went to the best team out of the rookie quarterbacks. He did. He did, without a question. So Jimmy Garoppolo yesterday, preseason game against the Chargers. 3 for 6, 15 yards, no touchdowns, 1 interception, a passer rating of 16.7. Trey Lance, on the other hand, while he also threw an interception, wasn't a very good one, by the way, 8 for 14, 102 yards, 2 touchdowns, the aforementioned interception, a passer rating of 89.9. I said after the first game, and obviously, Trey Lance had the 80-yard touchdown against Kansas City in the Niners' first preseason game. And he was like, whoa, look at that. He's got the arm. He's moving out of the pocket. It's the classic Kyle Shanahan play. The rest of the game, he's a little off. He missed some throws. And so I'm like, you know what? I get it. In the last almost 2 game, he played 1 game with North Dakota State. You want to talk about Dak needing reps? This guy really needed reps. And he's gotten them. He looked better than he did the first preseason game. And now I'm starting to wonder, is it starting to get in Jimmy G's head a little bit? Like, seriously, Jimmy G, you got the injuries that's in his head now. He knows, similar to Cam Newton, maybe not exactly like Cam because he's not been in the league as long, but you could make the argument that similar to Cam, who I talked about at the beginning of the show, this is kind of it for Jimmy G as a starting quarterback, in large part because can the man stay healthy? That's the question. And more times than not, the answer is no. But when the answer is yes, he gets your team to the Super Bowl. Trey Lance comes in. Is that messing with Jimmy G? I don't know. John says, got to start Jimmy, then go from there. Like what they did with Cap and Smith, Colin Kaepernick and Alex Smith. Sure. And obviously we all know in 2012, Kaepernick had like I always said, that pop, the flash, right? You're like, oh, okay. He's got it, right? Whereas Alex Smith, he'd been there for a long time. He'd just been in the NFC Championship game just the year prior. But John Harbaugh at the time realized, okay, I can win more games. I can go further with Colin as my starter than I can with Alex Smith. Does Kyle Shanahan have that same mindset? Does he go with Jimmy G? And if the Niners lose a couple straight games, listen, you're going to hear the fans in the Bay Area. Great fan base, by the way. They're going to be like, okay, we're out. We've got, we don't have to worry about going to Nick Mullins or CJ Beathard if Jimmy Garoppolo goes down. Like, we've got our future franchise quarterback in the building, and he does not wear number 10. He wears number 5. I think that plays in factor. So my thinking was last week is that Trey Lance will not become the starter until Jimmy G either gets hurt or traded next year. Now I'm starting to think he may just start game one. And if not game one, he may just start because they benched Jimmy G. And I didn't see that being much of a possibility. But crazy things happen in the National Football League. We all know that. So this is why this has been one of the more interesting preseasons, folks, that I've seen in a while. No question about it. You got all these rookie quarterbacks coming in. You got all these quarterbacks with pressure on them, Cam Newton and Jimmy Garoppolo. And then you got teams like the two Los Angeles teams, the Rams and the Chargers, that do not play starters in the preseason. It's like, man, this is, the Baltimore Ravens have, by the way, one of the most meaningless streaks in NFL history. They've actually won 20 straight preseason games, which I think tied the record. So you got that. I don't even know has Lamar Jackson played in a preseason game? If somebody out there knows the answer, please let me know. I don't think he has. So there you go. This has been interesting. Let's move on now. Final topic of the day. A little bit shorter show today, but listen, what are we, 9 days away? Am I getting that right? No, 10 days away from college football kicking off. Actually happens to be my Tennessee Volunteers. See my Tennessee shirt for the live audience. And then 17 days from now, the NFL season kicks off. And folks, we're going to have, absolutely just packed shows. Absolutely packed. I can't wait. Let's talk about a certain NBA player who I think I've made it pretty clear I'm not exactly big on this guy. Ben Simmons, as a frequent listener and viewer of the show, once DM'd me during the playoffs, and I've used it ever since, and I've given him credit for it. I did not make this up. Give him his due respect. Grady Edwards, shout out to him. He told me in a DM after the 76ers blew Game 5 to the Atlanta Hawks in the second round in the playoffs. He said that Ben Simmons is the Jay Cutler of the NBA. And I'm like, yeah, he is. There you go. That's it. That's what he is. He's the Jay Cutler of the NBA. He's got incredible talent, just like Jay Cutler did with the Denver Broncos and the Chicago Bears. He just doesn't give a you-know-what. And if you have that mindset, that mentality, you are going absolutely nowhere. Sure, you can make some all-star games, which Ben Simmons has made 3. But is there the killer will? Heck, there's players in the NBA like Anthony Davis who don't have the killer will. And I've been critical of Anthony Davis and some others who don't have that. But I've never worried, does Anthony Davis care much about basketball? I've never questioned that. He's never had the indifferent look on his face during big playoff games. He's never been afraid to shoot. I just don't think he has that dog in him. But even despite that, I still think Anthony Davis is a top 10 player in the league without a question. Ben Simmons has that ability. He's just afraid to shoot. He just refuses to shoot. In some cases, to the point where Doc Rivers has to take him out of basketball games in the last 2 minutes because he can't trust him to hit a free throw. And let's face it, he's an offensive liability. This makes me laugh. From Bleacher Report, the source is the Ringers. I apologize if I'm saying this wrong. Paolo Uggetti. Uggetti. I apologize to whoever that is from the Ringer if I said their name wrong. But according to this person, one scout in the National Basketball Association believes that Ben Simmons may not attend training camp if he isn't traded. Oh, this is just gold. So Ben Simmons is going to act like we didn't see what happened during the playoffs last year, and then the year before that, and the year before that, where he refuses to shoot, and he came into the NBA, he could do everything but shoot, but we were like, you know what? He'll improve as he goes. LeBron wasn't a great shooter when he came into the NBA. Now he's a decent three-point shooter. He has absolutely improved. Ben Simmons has not improved one iota. And I'm seeing, here we go again, guys. Here we go again. We're seeing the tapes again. You can go on social media anywhere and you could see the tapes of Ben Simmons playing rec league games at the local gym, the local YMCA, wherever he's going, shooting threes and looking like Steph Curry pulling up from deep. He posts those every year. It's the same darn story every offseason. Ben Simmons, he's in the gym. He's working to get better at his jump shots. And then a season later, he makes no more than 1 3 the whole year. We all know it's a shooter's league. So much so that Duncan Robinson of the Miami Heat can't do anything. He's not good at anything except shooting. He got $90 million from the Miami Heat. I mean, he's a bad defensive player. He's not a good distributor. Obviously, he's not a good rebounder. But he got $90 million. Why? Knockdown shooter. So Steph Curry changed the game. Ben Simmons, ladies and gentlemen, he does not care. And he's, normally if you've watched or listened to the show long enough, you guys know I'm 99% of the time on the player side if there's a situation where they want to skip training camp or they want a new deal or they want to be traded somewhere. Because more times than not, I'm like, yeah, the organization either did a bad job of putting talent around them. They won't pay them what they've earned or what the market says they deserve. And frankly put, they want control over their own careers. They've exercised every means necessary to try and win where they're at, and they figured out they just can't win there. Usually those are the 3 reasons why an athlete wants to leave a team, and 99% of the time I'm on their side. What's Ben Simmons' excuse for wanting to leave Philadelphia? Because Joel Embiid and Doc Rivers told the truth about him not taking shots? In Game 7 against Atlanta, he didn't take a wide open dunk. He was going to dunk on Trae Young. And he dished it off to, I think it was Matisse Thybulle. And he went like 1 for 2 or 0 for 2 from the free throw line. And that was the turning point in the game. Because Philadelphia realized, he's not engaged. He won't even take a wide open dunk. It's not even a jump shot. It's just, he's 6'11". He can obviously jump. He's very long. A 2-foot dunk is easy for him. And he wouldn't even take that. So this report, if it is true, from an anonymous NBA scout saying that Ben Simmons may not attend training camp if he isn't traded, is hilarious. Because this is on Ben Simmons. He realizes that, right? Like, this is on him. The 76ers would not even consider trading him if he had improved on his one weakness. It's just one. He came into the NBA and minus shooting was like the perfect NBA player. Like, if God were to create the perfect NBA player minus shooting, it's Ben Simmons. He's long. He's 6'11". But he's a 6'11" point guard. How many of those have we seen? He's a great passer. He's a great rebounder. He's an amazing lockdown defensive player, can guard 1 through 5 because of his length and his agility and his anticipation and his basketball IQ. He was the finalist for Defensive Player of the Year award. But as I mentioned, it's a shooter's league, and he just won't get better. He refuses to work on the biggest weakness of his game. What did the greatest of all time, Michael Jordan, what did he say? He had a quote talking about he worked every offseason to make his biggest weaknesses his greatest strengths. Like that's a mentality you got to have. God rest his soul, the late great Kobe Bryant would have turned 43 years old today. And tomorrow, social media, we're all going to celebrate Mamba Day, 8/24. You got to have that Mamba mentality. If we're going to talk about Kobe, let's talk about what Kobe said about Ben Simmons after, I think, Ben's rookie year. They asked him about, like, how good do you think Ben Simmons can be? He said, Kobe said, he's as good as he wants to be. He said, if I were Ben Simmons, I would have somebody lock me in a gym for 8 hours a day and just work on my jump shot non-stop. That's it. Because Kobe said, like, he's got that ability that you just don't see every day. Like, some basketball players have certain things that you can't teach, you can't coach, you can't really comprehend if you're a scout. I mean, he was the runaway number 1 pick of the draft in 2016. He's had injuries, but that's never really been a huge concern. It's not like we don't think of Ben Simmons as like injury prone. It's like, say, a John Wall or somebody. I'm telling you, if he can't, if Kobe Bryant couldn't get through to this kid, I don't know who can. I mean, it's a decision that he's got to make for himself. But the reason I clown him a lot in this show, and I don't clown athletes very much, but when you refuse to work on a part of your game, on a hole that's really big and really important that you do improve upon it, because this league that you play in is more reliant on your hole than anything else, and that's shooting, I got no respect for you. It's that simple. So, yeah. So, with that, that is all the time we have for tonight's show. It's great to be back after the weekend. Again, we are 17 days away from the NFL kicking off. We are only 10 days away from college football kicking off. Going to be a lot to talk about over the next couple of weeks. And then our shows are just going to be stacked over the next 3 to 5 months. So I can't wait. I mean, the NBA is going to start in less than 2 months. This is my favorite time of the sports year by far, especially October, because you got NFL's going, college football's going, basketball starts, World Series. I mean, it's awesome. Can't wait. I forgot about baseball. The playoffs start in a little less than a month and a half. So let's go. So hope everybody has a great week. Be sure to catch us on Thursday, as always, at 6 p.m. Eastern, 3 p.m. Pacific time, right here, wherever you're watching, on Facebook Live, YouTube, and Twitter. If you've been listening to the podcast, we appreciate that. You've been listening on Spotify, iHeartRadio, Google Podcasts, Anchor, as well as wherever you listen to your podcast. If you're on YouTube, by the way, be sure to click that big red subscribe button. Click that notification bell as well to get notified every time that I do go live, which is always the same time, 6 Eastern, 3 Pacific time. Be sure to like, comment, helps the channel grow exponentially. So see you on Thursday. God bless you all. Stay safe. Peace out.